Okay. All right. Well, if you want to get started, I guess. I mean, it's already, it's 5:03, so I don't know if she'll make it or not, but.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order.
And could I, before we begin, just for Sarah's point of view, because she tries to keep track of who says they're going to second something or who's making the motion, if you guys could state your name when you do that, so that she'll be able to have it in the minutes, get it in the minutes better. Who made the motion and who seconded it? So, okay.
Okay, I'm calling the meeting to order. Has everyone had a chance to review the August minutes?
I'm looking at it.
They're on page 3.
The minutes are on page 3.
Lily Zane moves that we accept the minutes.
Do
Kurt
I hear it?
Hawkins seconds the motion.
Okay,
All
so
in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. David, you want to talk about the ADLC legal issue?
yeah, we just wanted to make sure we were doing what we needed to do. So about a year or so, a year and a half ago, I think I came to the board and asked them if it was all right to join a consortium. And it's made up of most of the libraries in the state. There are a few that haven't joined, but basically it allows us to pull all of our resources together for the electronic books, e-books and e-audio books. And they figured out a formula so the small libraries, of course, don't pay as much, and the bigger libraries pay more. And you can see on page 4 basically how those different tiers work. So we're at tier 5 because we serve a population of about 125,000 people between our 2 counties. And so everything has been fine for about a year. But they have added some magazines, which the first year the state had some extra money. The state library had some extra money and started us off. But then the understanding was at the end of the year, then everybody would pay their fair share. And so unfortunately, some of the tier 1 libraries are not able to pay any money towards the magazines. Now, they still pay their money towards the total cost of the other content, but they're just not able to pay that. And even a couple of the tier 2 libraries are struggling to pay. And so we were just concerned that we were sort of going against the laws, basically saying we don't necessarily want to use our taxpayer money to fund another area's service population. And so the state library took this to the lawyers for that are under the Arkansas Department of Education. And they said, as long as your board approves it and it's okay, that they're okay with it. And so then I asked Kurt to look it over, and he also agreed with what they said. So basically, we're just going to you, just saying, is it all right if we still continue with this agreement, adding on the magazines for this? Now, it's been very popular. Our constituents uses them a lot. They use a lot of the magazines and things like that. So it's not a problem on that point of view, but we just wanted to make sure we were doing everything correctly and didn't want to overstep our bounds. So I just need a motion to say that this is okay or not. All right. I will try to answer any questions that you have, but you see on page 4, it currently is what we pay. And then at the bottom of 4 and all of page 5, it talks about the 3 different laws that would be involved with this.
So David, wouldn't we just be hurting our own people if we didn't approve this?
You would in the sense, because if we had to pay for the magazines ourselves, right now it would cost us only $1,125. If we wanted to get the same 35 magazine titles, it would cost us more than $16,000. So, and we're not, I mean, we're in favor of doing this. We want to give it to our people. It's just that we were just a little concerned that some of the libraries weren't able to pay their fair share. So I didn't know if that was treading on that sort of ground where all of a sudden now we're, paying portions of our money that we're collecting to another area. Now it still all goes to the same pot, and then we all distribute it out, and they're still paying for all their ebooks and their e-audio books. It was just when we added on this, these libraries are small libraries. They have 1,000 people that they're serving, or they have 500 people that they're serving. They just don't have a lot of money. And so anyway, like I said, Tanya and I didn't want to get in trouble by all of a sudden, it coming out that, hey, why are you using our taxpayer money here to pay for some place that's someplace else? But as long as the board approves it, that we're part of this consortium and we're okay to add the magazines, that we're good to go. So,
But we're really saving money, right?
you're
Because
saving
if
a lot
we
of,
did it on our own, it'd be more expensive.
way more expensive. Yes, we are
So
saving
do I
money.
have a motion to approve this? Or there any more discussion?
May I ask one more question? And just to confirm with David, if I heard it correctly from you, those titles are popular among our users, our members.
Yes, yes, they're popular. Yeah.
So back to what the other point, that we're saving money by doing this.
We are saving money by doing this all the way around. Yeah. So it just, from a book point of view, we didn't have magazines, but I would just tell you, and Tanya can correct me if I'm wrong, but when we joined, we had about 18 to 20,000 titles that we had purchased of books, ebooks, and e-audio books. When we joined the consortium, now all of our people have access to 60,000 titles. And at this point, just recently, they said we have topped about 90,000 titles. So it really quadrupled the amount of titles that all of our people have access to. We just had never had digital magazines. And so I can't tell you, I mean, I can tell you how many digital magazines our people have checked out, but I can't tell you how it was in comparison to before we joined, because we didn't own any before we joined. But they are popular. I mean, even I get them out. I like them. So yeah. Anyway, yeah.
All right, Kurt Hawkins moves that we approve the library's maintaining its current relationship with the consortium as suggested by David.
I hear
Rick,
a
and I
second?
second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Okay, good deal. Okay. So then, yeah.
So John, do you want to do your presentation?
You're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got something to share from my screen. I'm going to go ahead, and it looks like I have access to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So can y'all all see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So wanted to start with the master plan that y'all have been seeing and talk a little bit about how this project fits into the master plan we've discussed. The last project we did over here, the bookmobile, is now complete over in this area. And the next project that the library would like to do would be to add on what is in the future going to be called the conference room. That's this area here to the northeast. But what it'll do right now is serve a need of expansion for the children's library. And what it will do is create spaces for staff so that they can work, and then create a really nice new space. Ultimately, that space will be converted to the conference room. that's part of this conferencing center. Once this pink area down here is built, which is the final children's expansion for the new children's wing. And then, of course, there's down here this expansion of Ancestry. So that would fill out the block from Oak Street all the way down to Cherry along Madison. And there's one other piece, which is the addition to the stacks that would go out directly from the west and continue the vaulting that is happening in the stacks and add on 3 more bays of those arches to the west. And then that would finalize, that would complete the vision of the master plan. So this first piece is this conference room here, and then a renovation of this pink area, which is children's in the future. And I'll show you next how that's going to go. Any questions about just the master plan in general and the vision? Because some people may be new to the master plan. Okay, so I'll move on. The next image here, this is just a diagram of what we will have at the end of our project. So children's right now ends at this dark line, and there's a window here. So we'll be adding on an addition to the north. We'll be using where the window is located now as our connection. And then we're going to enclose the area for admin. This right now is picture books, where in this zone is picture books. So we'll be putting a wall across and getting rid of the desk and moving it to this corner up here. So it would centralize the desk and it would separate it from admin services, which is a real need in the children's library because staff are having to work in the open and they have other responsibilities than responding to the front desk or the information desk in children's. And so it's a disconnect between the work they're trying to do and then their visibility to the public, and they come across sometimes as rude if they don't answer the questions, and they're really just trying to get their work done. And there's a 6 to 8, I think, David, can you remind me? I think there's 6 to 8 employees, aren't there, in that children's?
Yeah, there's I believe 8 full-time employees, or even maybe 9, and we've tried to carve out as many areas, but right now they're all on top of each other, sharing a one sort of tabletop that's behind the desk, like John said, to get all their work done.
Yeah, I'll show you here. This is the current children's library layout. So the front desk is in this area, and board books are in this area, and there's one office, one enclosed office for the 8 employees. And they're all using this area behind the desk, which is just a working open work area. So we are going to take everything from this line and make it all admin back in this area and put a wall here. And that's, this would get demoed out. And that's basically how it would fit in to the overall. So what we'll be missing is then the addition, the pink addition and the green addition here down this side. On the site, it looks like this. So there are a lot of wonderful large oak trees around the library. And one of the casualties of the project are going to be 2 very nice oak trees on the northeast corner of the lot. And it's not possible for them to be kept with the amount of work. One sits right under the building, and the other, the trunk is right on our exterior wall, and it wouldn't survive. So those 2 trees will end up being casualties of the project. And we would end up filling in to the corner. This darker roof is existing children's library, and then this would be a new roof that would come in. and y'all just ask questions whenever you have them. As we cut into this and look at it from a floor plan view, you can see right now there's one entrance off of the library and one entrance off of Oak Street. We're actually going to create a new entrance here off of Madison. So there will be an entrance that comes directly into Children's. That entrance in the future would be an entrance into the conference center. So everything we're doing, we're trying to make sure that we don't have to redo work. We're trying to make the work fit into the next future iteration. But it is also very nice for Children's to have their own entrance off of Madison. We are going to move the existing bus stop that's on Madison and instead come in with parallel parking. And that allows us to keep the sidewalk just right where it is and then gain perhaps six parking spots. And you can see we're planning on planting. We'd really like to enliven the building with a lot of plants that the kids could see out the windows from the children's library, but then also from the outside, the community could see, and they would be plants that would attract life, like attract butterflies, things that would have, and you'll see kind of an image of what we're thinking about. This is zooming in on it just a little bit more. So you can see when you'd come up a bit of a ramp off of the sidewalk to come into a vestibule. We've made the vestibule red just so you can see it in the plan. It wouldn't end up being necessarily red. And we would do a nice luxury vinyl floor that has a softer look and feel for the children's library. That's the current idea. And this is right now is where story time happens, but we're going to move story time to this front northeast corner. And that allows for there to be a little bit more privacy and quietness, because we're talking about this north area being mostly for the youngest kids. So picture books would come up into this area and story time would be in this area. And there'd still be a possibility of pulling curtains across to close off story time. And then we would expand computers and stacks in the area that was story time. I'll give you some images now from the outside. So this is the corner, the northeast corner. So we're standing across the street on Oak Street looking at the corner. And we're going to have a low line of a roof, a straight line of a roof like the rest of the library has. And then we're popping that roof up, and I'll show you a little bit more as we turn the corner. We're popping that roof up higher. This is the level where I'm pointing right now is the level of the existing children's library. It's rather a low ceiling in that location over the children's stacks. And so we're going to come out and pop our roof up about the same height as the existing children's taller roof is. And then we can get a really nice band of windows in under the roof to make it really nice and light in there, and have windows that come down to a really low sill height so kids can see out the window. So we bring those sills down pretty low, maybe just a foot off the ground, so that the kids can really look out and see plantings. But we want to buffer those windows from the public with these plants. So, we cut down on the idea of any sort of voyeurism into the library itself, and make it more of a way for just the kids to see the plants outside. And then this is the view on Madison, where the parallel parking is. We would build a little wall that you could kind of sit along, and then you'd come up the ramp, and there's the children's entrance. You can see where our new roof line is and where the existing children's roof line is. This side, the new addition would pop up just a little bit higher. So that's really about it on the different views that we are using to show the look and feel of the project. Do we have any questions?
Silent group, I don't know.
I'll tell you, I really like the thought of having a new entrance. That seems like that really fits in that area. And for the future plan, if you're going to have a conference, you could kind of have not everyone walking through, the library to get to the conference. You can almost have that separated off in the future. So I like that idea. And also the windows. I think that's a great idea to bring that light in there, and also have the kids could see out. I like those thoughts.
One thing, David.
That looks beautiful and practical, I think, and it's functional. I've had the chance of using this future ramp and entrance in the past few months, and I really like the idea of having access to the children's library directly without walking through the rest of the library. Not that I don't want to see the rest of my friends there, but it's really neat.
Yeah, it is interesting that people have gotten used to being able to come in there since the special hours coming in, and I think that's really what the library. We actually had this entrance in a different location originally in the design, but since they've been using this, we realized the practicality of that location, and it really works well. Oh, and the fish tank. We are keeping the fish tank is actually right here in the vestibule. So when you come in the vestibule, you would look over and the glass of the existing fish tank would be right there. So, right now there's a fish tank at the main entrance as you come in here, and there'd be a fish tank over at the children's entrance too. It's kind of a nice little parallel.
I guess this is a question for David. Would it ease some of our problems when it comes to storing items? Will we actually gain some storage space this way?
Yeah, so unfortunately right now we have really had to sort of squirrel away children's supplies and collections that they use going out to the pre-Ks and everything like that in various and sundry places throughout the building. So there's one place that's near the Civic League room, which is way down over in the adult stacks. There's another place that's way back in information services in another area over there. There's another one that's in a closet off of the round room where they have even more stuff. And until recently, they even had stuff on shelving that's right outside of my office because they just don't have any room for craft supplies and costumes and other collections like that. So this will really not only give them office spaces, but it will also give them some storage spaces as well for all of their other things that they need, and put it all together in their area. So
Yeah,
it'll really help out, because then I can use those areas for other departments that need space. It's always space is our problem. So
Yeah, I didn't really explain the office area very well. So right now, this area serves as both kind of a work area and a desk area. So it'll become just completely a work area. There'll be an island in the middle and a lot of places to store a lot of the resources that they pull and put in their little buckets and baskets that they then go and take out to different areas for their activities. This room, which was is sort of a break room, work room, is kind of been really filled with a lot of storage. So we think we can take a lot of that out and it become an actual functioning space again, because it's kind of packed with stuff. And where we had one office, we're going to have 3 enclosed offices. And then this whole area is going to be workstation. So like an office workstation area where you'd have the rest of, so if we have 3 offices, we'd have 5 different workstations with seating area, but open with just little dividers.
Yeah. In the existing break room, we squeezed in another, that's somebody's office actually, right next to where the sink is and where all the cabinets are and everything like that. And then not only that, across from her is another workstation that we use sometimes, because we really just, it's a problem. I mean, it's just a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way we imagine this is in the future, when this becomes when the children addition happens, actually this line right here is the north wall of children's. So this would become back of house for this. That's this area right here. So that becomes back of house for the children's area that would be down here. So we can just turn the space and come into it through either this break room here. We can open that up and come in through the break room and get into the bathrooms from the backside, and then go on into their back of house area. So we think it's also not going to have to be redoing much for that next phase.
I like it.
I like it too.
I think it's too beautiful for everybody to remember to comment on.
You're just odd. Yeah, you're just in speechless. Thank you. Well, David, we talked a little bit about it. We're still working under a working budget right now. If you want to talk budget a little bit.
Okay.
We're working under the working budget of 600,000. That includes the new construction out here and then the renovation back here. That we don't have a contractor's estimate on the project. We'd like to verify and get a contractor's estimate, but we think that 600 is a conservative estimate that we can beat.
Now that wouldn't include your fee, right?
No, that won't include, our fee would be on top of that fee. Yes.
Okay. So just so you guys have something to think about, or I don't know what you guys are thinking, but on page 6, just kind of the agenda, I wanted to show you sort of what we have had in the past in terms of budget surpluses. So we went back to 2010, and so for those past 10 years, you can see the percentage of approximately how much we've had left over, which basically averages out to about 9.65%. And so in 2020, we're thinking that we're going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of $378,000 if we were sort of following that. Now, I don't know for a fact, although I do think it would probably be a little bit more than that, to be honest with you, just because we haven't been able to buy as many materials. We had to stop for about 6 weeks to 2 months buying materials just because we couldn't get it from our supplier because of the virus, and they couldn't ship it, and they weren't. So it took them a little while to figure out their side of things, and then we've been able to start ordering things again. We have gone up a little bit in our e-material, of course, because we have more people that are staying at home and then downloading e-books and e-audio books, but in terms of physical stuff. But you see that I just wanted to show in our special projects account, when we started this year, we had $2 million. We completed paying the bookmobile, the garage project. We've paid $47,915 to date to the Brooklyn, and we think we have about 20,000 more dollars that we're going to pay, which is well under our estimate. I think we had estimated originally about 80,000 or 90,000 dollars, so we're going to be under that. But you get a subtotal of 1,419,000. We had already $173,000 surplus in our 2020 budget, plus our estimated surplus would bring us back almost to the $2 million again. It'd be just a little bit shy of that $1.971 million. So I just wanted to sort of give you an idea that this money would come out of that budget. So it wouldn't come out of any of our regular budget to run the library or anything like that. This is money that we set aside, or we have set aside, or we've accumulated over the years from surpluses. And so this is what we would be using it for. We wouldn't have to get bonds. We wouldn't have to do any of those things. We'd be able to pay it out. Now, the only other thing that I think might work in our favor, and again, John would have to tell me, I don't know how long it would take to get to the point if we wanted to put this out for bid, and then I don't know how long it would take for the construction, but it could be that we would be paying for part of this in this next year, and we might even be paying for part of it in the year after that. So it's not even like the whole 600,000 would come out of 1 year. But again, I don't know how long it would take to construct it. That would be a John question. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole project could be paid for in 2021. I don't think there will be any construction cost in 2020 at all. There's a chance that you could have a little run over into 2022, a month or maybe a month or so, but it's a size project that should be able to be finished all in the 2021 year.
okay.
Yeah.
David, are you wanting us to vote today or what?
I mean, that would be great because we could move forward with it. I didn't know what you all felt comfortable doing. I just tried to give you all the facts as I have it. I mean, it really just gets down to the money and whether you like what you're seeing and things like that. And then it would be a question of, I think the next step would be to get documents ready to put it out for bid, and then see what the bids come in. And then I would bring it back to you to either accept the bid or not accept the bid of the different contractors and kind of move on from there. So
what is the pleasure of the board?
I have a question. Do you anticipate in the dirt work that's involved there having to move any water, sewer, electrical lines?
So luckily, most of all the infrastructure is on the other side of the building. There are some small mechanical equipment, condensing units that'll have to be relocated. We're going to put them on the roof, the condensing unit. And then there is irrigation. Some of that is utilized and some I'm not sure is utilized, but there is some irrigation in that area. Utility wise, we don't think that there's going to be an impact on any of the major utilities to the building. We've got the existing plans, and we'll need to verify a little more, but no, the power and water are all coming in on the other corner of the building, back by the mechanical room. Down in this area. This is where our mechanical electrical is. And so that's all coming in this area. And then this is a pretty low impact in terms of utilities.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion?
One comment before we go. David, on the budget, it looks like, I'm just kind of looking at this little block that you put on in our handout called Special Projects Account.
yeah,
Looks like we pretty well cash flowed about 500,000 pretty successful this year. And if you're talking a budget of 600,000, really that would only reduce our overall carryover if it goes according to plan of about 100,000. So am I correct in assuming that we should be able to cash flow that in 2021?
I mean, yes, like I said, I don't know what our estimate's going to come in under. I personally think that our estimate is going to be a little bit higher than that, just because there's lots of things that we haven't been spending money on. We set aside money for programming. We haven't been able to do a lot of that. A lot of that has been digital. So we haven't, the summer reading, we didn't get any of those performers to come. So we're not paying for any of that. We are paying for a few online performers, but the cost is a lot lower because they're not coming to us and things like that. Up until just today, actually, we hadn't even been paying for a security guard. So there's, like I said, there's lots of things, but I do think that it would pretty much, I think it would be, we'd almost end up about where we started by the time it's all said and done at the end of the year next year. We might be a little bit lower than the 2 million, but we would be pretty close to that. So. And remember, I just wanted to let you know, that's not only the 2 million there, but we also have an investment account of another almost $500,000 for these types of projects that we never dip into. So on top of all of this, there's even that investment account over there. So the only other thing that I don't know enough about that might affect it, but this would be really more of an effect of my budget, would be if anybody could make a comment on whether they thought that the property taxes were going to go down at all this year. I didn't know if I know that sales tax has been higher than normal because people are buying things online and they're home and stuff. I just didn't know whether property taxes, anybody thought that may be lower or not. That would be the only other issue that I have from a money point of view in terms of this year and moving forward to next year.
David, I might add one thing that we haven't, I probably should have talked a little bit with you more about, is in that 600 is not like new stacks, new shelving. If we need to do some more shelving, okay. Some of that sort of furniture items that would come in, a lot of times we try to keep somewhere like 20 to 25% as a go by for those types of beyond the cost of construction elements. Our fee might be able to come out of that 20 to 25. So, if you had 150, that would be like 150 on top of the 600 for a total project cost. We didn't really, I should have made that a little clearer on the front end about total project cost.
Okay. I mean, I think we're going to use most of the shelving that we already have. So okay. I don't anticipate, but it will be somewhat of a furniture cost, probably for more in the offices to get some desks and some of those type of things. We do put aside in our regular budget, we put about $30,000 or so for furniture. So I will say that, we can cover some of those just in the regular budget, but yeah. Would your cost, John, include the front desk cost though? That would be the one that I would be most concerned about.
Yeah, I think we can have the built-in front desk in that cost. I think the things that are going to be the wild cards are going to be like the workstations and in that area, the workstations really, and then any bookshelves or tables. And I have talked a little bit to Heather, just kind of to give her a heads up, and we can talk to other people too about getting us some budget pricing on those. But since it's behind that wall, it doesn't need to be very fancy, since it's not really out in the open.
Right. Okay.
Well, do I hear a motion, or do we want to move forward on this?
Yeah, I make a motion that we move forward with preparation of construction documents, advertisement and bidding of the project, and then of course it would come back to the board for acceptance of the bids to get us a better idea of those costs.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Rick, I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And is Angela Williams here?
I didn't see her on the,
Yes, I am.
oh, good. Okay, good. Okay, good. All right, so Ms. Williams had wanted to address the board about our hours that we have at the library. And so she asked if she could address you guys. And so I have invited her to this meeting. And so the floor is yours.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say I'm excited about the expansion because I was actually working at the public library when the current children's library was built. When I started, the children's department was actually where the young adult is now. So it's exciting to be moving on. But I wanted to share with you a little bit about an experience that I had at the public library recently. I'm a public school teacher and I use some of the library's resources for my classroom and in the children's department. And so I had called on a Tuesday to reserve an item, the books are in the bag or the books in a tub now. And they asked when I'd like to come get them. And I said, can I come Friday at 1 o'clock? And they said, you know, sure. So I arrive. It takes me 7 minutes to get into the building. I keep being told the building's not open. I'm at the wrong door. Nobody knows what I'm doing. There's no communication. I'm on my lunch break. And so obviously I'm very frustrated. I finally get in, I finally get my books that I need and I leave. And the more I think about it, the more aggravated I become that the public library is not open for public use. The fact that you're having to make an appointment, it's very limited hours. It's not a good use of my taxpayer dollars. It's not what the public library is supposed to be. It's not what, as a community, you know, we're accustomed to. And I understand the library can't do everything that it had been doing. You know, I understand we can't have programming. I understand that, you know, the computers are close together. We may need to block off every other computer. But I do think that there has been 7 months to make arrangements to make our public library more operational. And so after I had my conversation with David, I got to thinking, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to investigate this a little bit more. So one of the things that I did was I called the Paragould Public Library to see what they're doing. You know, they're close, just down the street. Paragould Public Library is open. They actually opened July 1st for regular operating hours. And so I spoke with the director, Mike Rogers, and I just asked him, you know, what are you doing? You know, what have you done in your library to make it safe for the public and the employees, because that is a concern. You know, some of the things that he told me is that they had actually purchased UV light air sanitizers to put in their library. Of course, masks are worn, which that's mandated through the state. They have removed the inside seating from the library, and they really just encourage patrons to stay about 30 minutes or less, you know, get what you need checked out and move on. They've closed their bathrooms. They've blocked off every other computer. They quarantine their books. They have hand sanitizer stations. And as I was discussing all these things with Mr. Rogers, I asked him, I said, you know, have you had a problem with patrons being able to social distance in the library? Because I have been in the library plenty of times, and short of a story time hour, there's not ever been a time when I couldn't social distance. under normal circumstances. And he said, you know, they have not. That what they are seeing is that their patronage is down about 60%. So in terms of in-person use. And so he said, you know, he really doesn't believe that there would be a mad rush and everybody would rush in and the library would be packed to the gills. You know, so I think that that's something to consider. I think that as residents, we are paying property taxes to go toward the public library services. And like I said, I understand you can't do programming. I understand that. I understand. But open the doors and let us come in and check out the materials that we need. Lots of places have put barriers up. You know, the guideline for quarantining the safe zone is 6 feet for 15 minutes or more. You know, how many times are you going to be around somebody other than your family for more than 15 minutes in a public library? If you come in and you check out a book, you're not going to be standing at that checkout counter for 15 minutes. If someone, you know, needs help or assistance finding a book or finding material, generally, in my experience, it doesn't take 15 minutes. And if it does, you can social distance. You can, you know, you can say, this is all we can do. You know, people have to be responsible for their own safety and health. And one of the things that David said is that, you know, we've got to keep the numbers low. We've got to have appointments so we can clean materials after it's used. Nobody follows me around Kroger and cleans what I put back on the shelf. If I pick it up and I look at it and I put it back on the shelf, nobody follows me around to clean that. And I am responsible for my own health and safety, that when I get in my truck, I sanitize my hands before I go home. And then after I handle all my groceries and put everything away, I wash my own hands. That is my responsibility. That's not Kroger's responsibility. That's not Walmart's responsibility. That's not the public library's responsibility. Public schools are open. Families are doing virtual schooling, homeschooling. We need to have access to the materials that our tax dollars have paid for. And making an appointment is not convenient. It's not feasible long term. And my understanding from talking to David is that there's no estimate about when this is going to end. Is this going to go on for another month? Is it going to go on for another 6 months? What are we going to do? We have to look at what we have to do to get our library open and put materials back into the hands of the public.
Okay. So I want to thank Angela. She really, I remember when I first came, she worked here at the library, great worker. Really great comments. We actually do most all the things that the Paragould Library has done. I did apologize to her, and I'll apologize to her again in front of the board about the mix-up about getting the material at 1 o'clock. We are probably about 6 months to 6 weeks to 2 months behind opening the library as much as I wanted to, but we did a whole inventory of our 180,000 items because we got a new system in place about 3 weeks ago, I guess. And so we have been a little bit behind because we've been trying to learn the new system. We had to make sure we had all the stuff. We didn't want to transfer a bunch of old information from one system to the new system. We lost some information transferring it. We've been trying to do all that. So, but starting today, the biggest complaint that I have heard is the mix up of the hours, that it's hard to remember which area is open when. So we did start today opening the library from 9 to 6 Monday through Friday and from 9 to 3 on Saturday. We still have appointments for the adult computers and for the kids area, but if somebody were to come in with their family and want to get into one of those areas and they're not filled, we would certainly let the family in at that time. We would suggest that they still make an appointment, because if it is filled, we really do only want a certain amount of people in both of those areas. We're waiting. A couple weeks ago, we went to a company to make barriers for us. We can buy some plexiglass, but it's kind of thin plexiglass, doesn't stand up very well. So we have contracted out to buy some barriers. We hope to, we have about 8 public adult computers open right now. We really hope to double that up if we can in the next month. But again, I'm just waiting for those barriers to come in and try to set those up. I don't know when we can go without having appointments in the kids department, just because our kids department is so small. Our area is so small. We've used up almost all the area that we have for books. So it's not a spread out area, which is why we had the discussion that we just had to make the area bigger. If we had a bigger area, if there were more spaces between the aisles, maybe it would be okay. I really just don't see how I can keep the staff safe moving forward doing that. We already make efforts to try to separate different parts of our staff, because if we've already had a couple cases of the COVID on staff, and then that kind of takes out all the people that they've worked with for that day. Because again, all of our work areas are really tight. So we really are around everybody more than 15 minutes over the course of an 8-hour day. So if one person comes down with it and then everybody else has to go get tested for it, then even if they test negative, they still have to quarantine. And so then one person could take out 4 or 5 people. So we're just trying to do the best that we can. I know that people compare us to a store. We are somewhat similar to a Kroger and a Walmart, because we do put stuff out and people come and take it, and I can't control what they touch, but for the most part, they don't really get a lot of their stuff back again. So we have that element of getting our things back and quarantining them for a while, and then it takes more of my staff time to check that back in or wipe that down and do things like that. So I just think that we're doing the best that we can, and we continue to open things up as we go. We hope in the future that we can mark off some seating and open up some of the genealogy area. That would be the next area that we're talking about trying to open up after the adult computing. But yeah, like I said, I just don't see what we can do in children's that wouldn't be a bottleneck. Yes, mostly during the day it wouldn't be a problem. But it's usually in the evenings or after school or on Saturday where we get a lot of kids running around, and you can't really control kids. It's not like a classroom setting where I'm the teacher and I can control so many kids in a certain area. It would really be up to the parents, and then sometimes I can only ask the parents to do so many things. So I mean, like I said, we just try to do the best that we can, but this is sort of where we are right now. So
well, I am glad to hear though that you have expanded your hours, to a full day instead of a couple of partial days.
Well, we were always open every time. Like I said before, it's just that we were sort of alternating areas, and so we've been able to figure out how we can keep it all open. And still sort of limit the amount of people in certain areas. So we'll keep working. All I can tell you is we'll keep working on trying to get the children's department as open as we can, but don't know how that's going to go. So anyway.
Does any of the board have any comments, concerns about this?
Well, I'd like to say a few words. First, thank you to Mrs. Williams for what you do as a public school teacher. I have 3 kids, one high school senior and a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I know how much challenge you public school teachers face every day. And I really appreciate what you do. And I also, as a board member, I appreciate your feedback, as a local resident, those constructive advice to improve the service of our public library. Also, as a parent, as a patron, I personally have experience using the public library. I visited twice since the schools went virtual in the spring. And the first, I'd like to speak about my personal experience. The first time, I love to visit the library, and so do my kids. So we were just around in the downtown area, and my kids were talking about needing some items. So we just stopped by without realizing that we needed to make appointments. And we went to the regular entrance without knowing that there was a special entrance to the library. But we figured it out, and we got in by after asking whether we could get in, and we were told that they had room, they had space basically, because they didn't have the cap visit number at that time. So we were allowed in without making a prior arrangement for through appointments. But we also learned that we were supposed to make appointments just, for security, for safety purposes, which I actually personally appreciated, because I wasn't certain whether I should visit the library at that time or not. So it was, I was pleased to see that they were taking extra caution in terms of protecting the patrons, and of course, as well as their staff members. The second time I made appointments, and I was given many different options. But I also understand what Mrs. Williams was facing because of her, busy day hour. She had to make a quick stop during her lunch break hour. And again, I really appreciate what you do as a public school teacher. I just want to speak about my personal experience. And I want to commend on what David and his staff has been doing, and they were really quick in terms of handling the installment of the new system. I heard about the new system being introduced, and then during my visit, I was told that I probably needed help from the staff members because they already had a new system, and I was really surprised because I didn't expect it to be ready within such a short time. So apparently they worked a tremendous amount of a number of hours behind the public awareness, and they got all those hard work done behind the walls, behind the doors, and so on. So I really appreciate that. And talking about what Mrs. Williams heard about from the Paragraph Public Library, I would suggest that David consider purchasing some UV light, like, whatever those filtering or sanitizing, whatever those are called. I think those will be great addition to your space, and for better protection of your staff members, and as well as patrons. And talking about that, I'm about to visit the library in the next 2 days.
Okay, good.
And I hope I will be safe.
So actually, I don't know how many months ago it's been, but the guy that takes care of all of our ACH stuff approached me and said that he had found a filter that kills like 99.3% or 6% or whatever it was. And so we actually had him put it on several of our air conditioning units already. So I know that I teach at A-State, and they have some of those little UV wands that they use for between they share instruments. So if you're learning how to be if you're a music education major, you have to play all these instruments, but you don't have to buy them all. And so they have things that will do that. And so it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, we had already put in a lot of our units here already. So we think that the air is pretty clean as moving forward. And then the other thing is we try to keep up with all the different safety things. We heard that this is all from there's a the Department of Museums and Libraries on the federal level. And so we get reports from them, and they tell us, okay, they did this study, and the virus lasts for so long on paper, or it lasts for so long on the outside cover. And then a month would go by, we're working on this premise, and then they might change their mind and say, okay, well, we did another study and now it looks like it won't be so much, or, it's just hard. But we finally decided that we quarantine everything for a week. The best that we've heard is that it lasts on paper about 5 days, and it lasts on the cover actually less than that because it's a hard cover. But again, we don't want to be spreading the virus out, and so we really want to maintain and make sure that it dies sort of on its own. We can't wipe down every one of the pages. If we use water, then that's bad. I mean, you're kind of like, what do you do? You know what I mean? And so we just decided that we'll just keep it sitting there, like I think a lot of the libraries are doing that. So yeah.
Well, we're all learning still.
We're all learning, yeah. Like I said, we're just trying to make it as best we can. But we had gone and looked out at a lot of the libraries across the state, and there are several that still aren't even open at all, and several of them have just started now, just with appointments only, what we've been doing for a while. So we kind of think we're pretty ahead of the game now. I know that CALS has opened up, but they're much bigger system. I called Fayetteville, but they're actually closed because they're doing a renovation. We tried to call some of the other libraries that were similar in size. I think North Little Rock is still closed and only doing appointments only, or only doing curbside service. And so, like I said, I mean, it's unfortunate what you went through with your experience, and I do apologize about that again, but we really are trying to, we all as librarians want to open their doors and have everybody use the library. I know it's crazy, but we do. So yeah, anyway.
Well, thank y'all so much.
Thanks for attending. So yeah. Are there any other comments at all? Or I don't think there's anything else on the agenda tonight. So
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Rick, I second.
Meeting adjourned.
I thank you all for your support as always, and thank you for letting me look into making the children's department bigger. They really desperately need the space, so I really appreciate all that. But anyway, I hope you all have lovely evenings.
Everybody take care.
Yeah,
Bye.
please. All right.
Everybody stay safe.
Yes, stay safe.
Janice is in the library.
Yeah,
What?
she
Are you
came
in the
to the
library?
library because she was having technical difficulties with her computer. I hope to someday have us all at least maybe meet in the round room, but sort of from a distance point of view. But right now I'm using that as a storage area for all of my seating so that nobody sits and hangs out at the library. And so I if I can figure out another place to store that, I wouldn't mind calling a regular meeting and just have us all sort of sitting against the edge of the round room and sort of be apart. But we'll see how that goes.
Just meet in the park.
What? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. So, even here at the library, I'm in my office, Tani's in her office, Sarah's in the Civic League room. We're all still spread around, even though we're all in the same building, right? So,
David,
How's it working, David, with the new automation system? Is the conversion 99% complete?
yeah, it's been pretty good. We found that a lot of the things that didn't come over, some stuff I knew weren't going to come over. We were pleasantly surprised by a few things that managed to come over. I mean, in terms of sometimes the patron records don't all come over. Like you'll get the patron record, but you don't get, maybe they owe a fine, but it won't tell you what they owe the fine for. So we spent a lot of time really converting. We're kind of lucky because we still have access to the old system. So what we've been spending a lot of time doing is we've been going into the old system, finding out the information and then inputting it into the new system. So, but the new system is we think it's great. It's Windows based. The other system was not. So it's easy for us. We can send out text messages to everybody. You have options that we didn't have before. We can control the messages on the bottom of the slips. So if we want to say, please come to such and such an event, we can put it on there. You know, it's just a lot nicer, a lot of the things that we can do. So yeah, we're really pleased with how everything's going so far. So, and the company's been very proactive. Any question or problem that we have, they've been really pretty fast about coming back with a solution for us. So yeah, it's all been good.
Great to hear. And plus you save money, right?
And we saved, so this year we didn't save, we saved probably about $5,000, but starting next year, we'll save about $15,000 or $18,000 every year going to this new system. So yeah, it's all good.
How's the bookmobile working out? I've seen it driving around Jonesboro some, and I just wondered how that was working out.
Yeah, we haven't been able to do as much with that as I've wanted to, but what we're trying to do is get a hold of the schools to see how we can support the schools. And so we have already got some material that we're getting ready to put onto the bookmobile. And then we're in the process of trying to contact the schools and saying, well, what area of kids, where's an area that there's a lot of kids that are stuck at home that either their parents don't want them to go to school, or, you know, I mean, I heard MacArthur Junior High shut down. I don't know whether that's a permanent thing or whether they shut down because the COVID cases were so many that, you know, all those kids at home. So we're trying to be more proactive with that, but so far we have not been as successful as I wanted to, but I think we're trying to shoot for the springtime to really go around. We've also talked about going to some of the preschools, and even if we just get kids out of the classroom for a while, maybe we can do a program where we're at the bookmobile with the big TV and they're just sitting on the lawn, but they're just outside. I mean, you know, because like you and I, we're just tired of all these meetings through the computer. You can only look in front of a computer for so long. You can only be stuck inside for so long. And I just feel badly for all these little kids that just they don't know, they just want to run around and have a good time, right? So anyway, yeah, but.
Again, thank you for all you do.
Thanks.
Tell your staff the same.
I will pass that on. So we're all trying to be safe and do the best we can. So.
Well, we thank you.
Please come visit us.
Looks like we're going to be doing this for quite some time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think we're going to this 9 to 6 hours. That'll help out a lot. It allows me to cover lunch without actually bringing another set of crew in, because you go 9 to 7, then that's 10 hours. But if I go 9 to 6, then with an hour break, that seems to be manageable. We have a lot of people that are working from home, doing things like that. So we are really trying to keep ourselves separated as much as we can. Like, I don't let Sarah come, she does the business part of the time and Jordan does it the other time. So I've been having them sort of alternate days and work from home one day, come in one day. And so, because if they both go down, then nobody gets paid, and we can't pay any of the bills. So in any case, so yeah. Anyway.
You know, David, I understand concerns about them wanting the library open, but on the other hand, we want to be safe and we don't want to be a super spreader.
No, we don't. So we're just, you know, I do appreciate her coming, and I've known her for a long time and seen her daughter grow up in the library, Lily, and I think her daughter's in junior high school now. So I really like Angela a lot. She just was so upset. And so that's when I said, well, please come and talk to the board. And I just think she just had a bad experience, which, like I said, I apologized, and I hope that she's better and understands more. She's just frustrated. I mean, everybody's frustrated, but
yeah, I think everybody just is having too much stress, and you know, having that time limit and rushing through all this is just too much for her.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in general has this extra level of stress just because the virus is out there, you know. So if your life was already going along, but now you have this added sort of pressure that's like, you have to remember your mask and you have to be careful and you have to really think, do you really want to go there? Is it really worth it, whatever you were wanting? And it's a problem.
Speak to someone and have it out, and that helps.
Yeah, so
thank you all. Bye.